8 years of hardcore heroin use. Oh, yeah, it'd slow down from time to time, but then it hit her hard. It's Jodi's story today live.
Open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope. Open my eyes to see the world through different eyes, revealing your light, restoring hope.
All right, welcome. It's 4 minutes after the hour on this a restoring hope kind of day. You know, a day that you wake up and you think, man, did that weekend just hit me like I think it did? You know, maybe you don't drink or you don't use drugs. I hope you don't. But you went over to Jack's house, and Jack always has the big 4th of July blowout, and by the time the dinner's served at 7 o'clock and you're still waiting 3 hours for fireworks, Jack and his buddies have not only embarrassed themselves and their entire family, but you probably swear you're never going over there again. But you don't know what to say to Jack. It just starts with a can or a bottle or a shot glass. And by the time the mid-afternoon rolls around and the ribs are halfway smoked, Jack's completely smoked. And maybe he's vulgar. Maybe he's just rude. But it's embarrassing. But more than embarrassing, you know what he's doing to himself. He's hurting himself. No, let me back up. Jack's killing himself. And you don't know what to do. Well, that's what this program is about. This program is not aimed at Jack. Jack knows what he's doing. In the deep of the night, in his prayers, God speaks to him gently and says, Jack, I love you. Please don't do that to the temple I gave you. I have so many plans for you, and they are for good. They are for hope and peace. You can't do my will. You can't fulfill my plan if you keep destroying yourself like this. Jack knows it inside, but he's too embarrassed to admit it to you. He's too embarrassed to surrender his life and his will over to the God that he understands. That's where people like we come in handy. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and I'm your host for Restoring Hope Live, this edition Recovery Monday, brought to you by the good folks at Powell CDC. As always, Bob Montserrat, a 36-year veteran of forensic science and one of the nation's top testifiers? No. Expert witnesses.
There you go.
For alcohol and what alcohol does to your body. He just happens to be my brother. And he loves radio, and he does such a good job. And obviously he has a passion for helping people, so he spends his time on Monday with Recovery Monday. The lovely CEO and founder of the entire Unity Point Group, Lila Stafford, is not with us today. She's on vacation with Bono. They took that first aircraft, Virgin spaceship, up to the moon, so they're spending some time on the moon. So her trusted assistant is with us today, the head of Powell CDC, Kim Brangoccio. And don't ask me to spell it. I can never spell it. It's Brangocci.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, well, close. And Ryan's producing as always, but our special guest, her name is Jodi Waddell. And as of right now, today, Jodi has strung almost 5 months heroin free. And we're going to learn about Jodi and her story and how you can help someone like Jodi because Jodi has a friend who is a friend of your friend. We don't know his or her name, but heroin use is more common than you can ever imagine among middle school, high school, college, housewives. It's a sad, sad, sad drug. But we're going to find out not only what it can do to you, but how you can escape it. Jodi, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here. So I got to tell you a story. Kim, you'll love this. Bob, you'll love this. So, two things I hate more than anything in the world is heat and humidity and late night outings. You know that from me, being friends.
Yep.
I'll get together with you at 4 a.m, long before I'll get together with you at 8 p.m. My wife's favorite holiday is, guess what?
4th of July.
4th of July. So she asked me this year if I wouldn't go to some friends. And we didn't eat dinner, but we had sandwiches and stuff. And then wait till 10 o'clock. They live 50 yards from the back gate of Des Moines Golf and Country. And Des Moines Golf and Country has a beautiful display. So I told my wife, no matter what the temperature, no matter what, I would go with her and spend that evening with her. And so Saturday, I kind of paced myself, and I decided we had to be there at 7 o'clock. So I decided that at 4 o'clock, I'd take a nap, which I don't take naps, but I still was going to go in the man cave and shut the door and turn on a sermon or something to relax me and just kind of chill out. And I kept getting out of my chair to shut the TV off to go lay down, and some voice would say, go to church. And we have a 5 o'clock service on Saturdays that I never go to. I mean, a handful in the 10 years I've gone to Hope. And I'd sit back down and I'd think, no, Mac, you got to rest. You got to come through for your wife tonight. She deserves you. Or no, she doesn't deserve me. I deserve her. And I got up again, and something said, go to church. Well, at this point, it was getting my attention. So the third time, I didn't even think about going to take a nap. I got up and went to church. CJ was laying down, and I said, I'm going to go to church. And she said, really? Okay. So I walk into, because I know God's got something for me. I got that message. You know, I used to get this message early in the morning when Christ first mugged me. I get this message early in the morning when I wanted to hang around the house and would be with the dogs or do whatever I wanted to do. And God say, you know, there's a Bible study I want you to go to. And God would say, that's okay. I had a message there for you. But it's okay if you don't want the message. You know, he'll guilt me into it. So the first thing, I got to church, and Perry Ross, that's who our worship leader, was preaching this weekend. And I really like Perry. Perry's just a neat guy, and I like it when he preaches. Then I sit in my regular seat where I always sit, and there's this young lady sitting in front of me, and it happens to be Jodi. And I get this feeling, and I know it's the Holy Spirit. It's still hard for me to define sometimes that way. And I get this feeling that this lady sitting in front of me, who I don't know her name, I've never met her before, has a story she wants to tell. And I just get this feeling the whole time during the sermon. This woman has a story. So when we got up, we took communion, and then you walked out of the church. And so I tried to find you or follow you, because I don't want to be a creeper. You know, I'm a 56-year-old guy, and I'm walking up to a young lady going, hey, God told me. But I caught up with her. I said, could I talk to you for a minute? And she was very kind, and I told her that I was a radio host and that we did this show. And I gave her my card, and I said, God's just telling me somehow that you have a story you want to tell. She said, I do. And I said, well, I'd like to talk to you about it sometime. So then I go get in line to get a taco salad, and she comes up and says, can I join you to eat? And we sat there for a while, and we talked. So Macism number 3, coincidence is God's way of revealing himself. I'm just sure that Jodi is supposed to be here today to tell her story, because I know you wanted me to have a guest with Lila on.
Absolutely, yep.
I didn't announce it last Monday at my AA meeting. I didn't ask anybody else to be on my show all week long. I was just going to, I don't know what I was going to do.
Wing it.
The three of us were going to wing it. That was my plan. Saturday morning, my 12-step meeting. I didn't announce it. I thought about announcing it. They let me announce it there when I want to. I didn't do it.
You're waiting for Jodi.
We're waiting for Jodi. So anyway, how are you?
I'm doing amazing.
How was that experience that I just explained go for you? Now, you probably didn't feel me sitting behind you.
No, I didn't. But when you came up and introduced yourself, usually I would have walked away from most people, but there was just something there. I don't know.
I didn't act like a creepy guy, did I?
No, you didn't.
I really, you know,
That's
I know.
good.
I know. In this day and age, we all have to be careful of that, but especially a woman who's not accompanied in church that day. That, I don't know. That's just, to me, that's kind of freaky. But
Yeah, and you have the look, too.
do I have that creeper look?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that. But so I'm glad you accepted. I'm really glad that you came up and sat down with us as we ate,
Thank you.
because I was able to get some more information. So, Jodi Waddell, and that's your married name or
Married name.
married name? Okay. And how old are you?
I'm 47.
Okay. And you have 2 children,
I do.
and they are
Grace, she's 14, and Alexis, she's 11.
okay. And you are a little over 4 months clean of heroin.
Right.
Now, I want to talk about heroin later because I'm ignorant of heroin. Do you know a lot about heroin?
Some, but it's a very, increasing drug. A lot of people are using
More
it
and more and more.
that you would not expect. In the past, I think that the population of heroin users has really changed demographically over time.
Now, I'm assuming you know about heroin.
Yes.
What's it made of?
Well, it's an opioid. It's a natural, comes from a plant,
Okay.
and it's derived from morphine. And it's very, very addictive, highly addictive.
Absolutely.
What does it do to the body when it's injected?
Well, it's a narcotic. So narcosis, painkiller,
Okay.
makes you very dependent. Like if you take any other type of painkiller, if you take it too long, you'll be addicted to it. Very difficult to get off. Many people are addicted to this prescription. Heroin is easily made.
Is heroin sold in a prescription?
No,
No.
it's Schedule 1. It's not Schedule 2. 2 means it could be used for medical purposes.
Okay. And what does it do to your mind and body?
Well, don't ask me. You can ask the person. that-
Okay. All right.
I mean, I can give you the,
Depresses your system for sure.
it is a depressant, but it's
Depressant?
Yeah, depresses your system so that you're slower, you're not in control of your.
Okay. You see that TV scene where they wrap the little rubber band or whatever it is, and they pull it tight, and they usually bite one end, and then they hit it,
that's to make your veins pop up.
and then you shoot it in, and then you always see this person just kind of melt into this relaxing coma.
Right.
Is that the way it really is?
That's the way it really is.
Now, when did you first try heroin?
Well, the way I tried it initially was I was diagnosed with cancer, and they gave me Dilaudid, which is basically like synthetic heroin.
Okay.
And I think that's how housewives and other people get hooked on this. Is it's this innocuous drug that you get prescribed by a physician.
Okay. And when they would stop prescribing it,
Right.
then you'd have to go to the black market.
Right. I would run through my entire month's prescription in about a week.
Wow.
Right.
And so when did you start taking the prescription?
About 8 years ago.
All right. So you were 38,
Right.
39. All right. Had you used any kind of drugs before that?
Yes, I was clean for about 8 years from meth.
And so when did you start using meth?
In my mid-20s.
All right. And what did you use before meth?
Nothing.
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 So you were a Valley High School graduate. You weren't a drinker?
No, I mean, in college, I drank a little. I'd smoke a little pot, but it just was something that was here and there.
It was social.
Right.
There was no addicting or anything like that to it.
Right.
All right. We're going to take our first break. And when we come back, and I just want to thank you. I think you're very brave.
Thank you.
And as I told you at church yesterday, God has a message for somebody. And you don't know what that is, but he's going to deliver it through you.
Thank you.
And that person out there who is going to get delivered that message doesn't know they're the person, and they don't know what the message is. But he's going to create this little magic thing in the middle, and you're going to share something with someone. You're going to share something that will change someone's life. Maybe we'll hear about it, maybe we won't. We usually don't. But when we do, it's pretty cool. How somebody accidentally turns into a podcast, or the stations are scanning by and it stops on this station and they hear heroin and they just learned their little, you know how the story goes. So appreciate you being here. All right, it's Powell CDC. You know somebody that can help you. 263-2424. Don't go without asking for help. We're live here on Recovery Monday, brought to you by Powell.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
A father who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation, to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I've purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids? Yeah!
If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope.
Good afternoon. We're back with you, Restoring Hope Live. Recovery Monday brought to you by the good folks at Powell CDC. Remember, you now know someone. It's embarrassing. I admit it. I admit it. When Uncle Bob came over this past weekend and brought that little bag of illegal fireworks, which everybody seems to ignore, and that cooler, and you couldn't believe that the cooler was bigger than the fireworks. And he just drinks. And nobody thinks it's a problem until it's a problem. And then it's a real problem. And you don't know what to do. And he's uncontrollable, and he's big. You can't really physically, get him to sit down. And his mouth is horrible around the kids. And the family gatherings have gotten smaller and smaller because Uncle Bob, it's a problem. Well, you know somebody now. You know Kim Brangosio, who's the director of Powell CDC. She's with us today. You know Lila Stafford. She's not with us today, but you know who she is. And Bob Montserrat and myself, 263-2424. Thank God. Thank God he brought you someone in your life that could help you through this difficult time. I've got Jodi Waddell with me today. Jodi's 47, and she is a little over 4 months clean of heroin. And I don't think I've ever talked to a heroin addict before. I don't know if I have. I can't believe I haven't in all this time, but I don't think I have. And, of course, she went to Powell and a couple times. She's been through 24 treatment centers.
Yes.
Now, were those basically driven by your parents or a husband? Or, I mean, why 24? I mean,
My parents' legal system, everything. I mean, and some of them were me wanting to get clean, but then life happens when you step out of those doors and the world hasn't changed. And
yeah, it's always right there.
right.
At age 39, you started using heroin. You were diagnosed with cancer.
Right.
Are you cancer-free now?
I believe so.
Good for you.
Thank you.
And one of the drugs they gave you when you were prescribed or when you were going through your cancer treatments was what?
Dilaudid.
Dilaudid. You ever heard of that?
Yes, it's a
Yep.
it's a narcotic medication. that-
For pain?
Yep.
And that led you to an addiction to Dilaudid. Mm-hmm. And then what made you go to heroin?
I went to the pain doctor and got a month supply of Dilaudid and told him that I had struggled with addiction before. He said, just because you had an addiction to this drug doesn't mean you'll have one to opiates. And it was on, of course. I came back a week later. I'd used the entire month's supply of it. He gave me another script. I used that in a week, and then I bumped it up to heroin.
And when you say you bumped it up to heroin, you actually bumped it down to black market.
Right.
How do you, and I don't want names, and I
Right.
don't want places. But how do you, I mean, you're a housewife with 2 kids at home. How do you, I mean, Hy-Vee doesn't have a heroin section. How do you find some place to give you Hy-Vee or heroin?
I have antenna. I know, as an addict, I know another addict when I see them.
Okay.
And it didn't take long. Most of my hookups came from, people that went to meetings or people that went to treatment that didn't succeed.
Okay.
And eventually you just get into a wider and a wider circle from it, and pretty soon you're selling it. And
How, now you said at 25 you started meth.
right,
Now, take me back a little bit. You're a Valley High School graduate.
right.
You must have been about 84,
86.
86. Okay. And you said in high school there was nothing.
I mean, there was a little bit, we'd drink sometimes or we'd smoke a little pot, but it wasn't my thing. I'm not
All right.
a fan of hangovers.
Yeah, and then you went to college.
Right.
And a little more, but
Yep.
still nothing serious.
Nothing serious.
So what made you pick up meth at 25?
I was a court reporter at the time and with a firm, and a few of the people there were doing it. And
At the law firm.
No, at a court reporting firm.
Oh, okay.
And I'll never forget, I leaned over and did a line and leaned up and said, I want more.
I've heard that about meth.
Yeah,
I've heard that meth is instantly addictive.
instantly.
What is it about meth that makes it instantly addictive, Bob?
Well, it has to do with you can be physiologically addicted and psychologically addicted. Some of them will do both. Other drugs may do one or the other. Meth is both, for sure, and it's a stimulant. It's quite the opposite of a narcotic. And so it's interesting to me that you went from meth, which is a stimulant, upper, where you're go all the time, to a narcotic, which tends to slow you down.
And I was what they call speedballs, where you'd mix the two.
So, 25, are you married?
I was, yes.
Okay, but no children.
No children.
And where was your, if you can't say this, that's okay, but where was your ex in the circle of use and abuse?
He did not use, and we ended up getting a divorce.
Did he know you used?
Yes, and he's the one that was instrumental in getting me into treatment.
Okay, but you didn't want to quit.
I had no intention of quitting.
But you just kept going to treatment to appease husbands, family,
Right.
whoever. And if I talked to one of your counselors at one of the treatment centers you went to, what would they tell me about you?
It would depend on who you spoke to. Most of them would tell you that I could talk the talk, but never could walk the walk.
Okay.
My 23rd treatment, I graduated from that place and said, I can still deal drugs at my graduation. I just won't do them.
What's different this time? And why this time?
I have a god of do-overs. That's the best way I can say it, and he has been very instrumental in opening my eyes to what I don't want to be anymore. And I think it's more about not discovering yourself, but discovering what you don't want to be anymore.
Yeah.
So where was your identity at age Well, let's say 25 to before you were diagnosed with cancer. What was your identity? Your identity wasn't in the God of your understanding.
No.
Wasn't in Jesus.
No. I was actually an atheist at 25, but.
Okay. So was your identity as being a wife, as a drug user, as a court reporter, or?
All the above.
All the above, okay. And you said your ex-husband was instrumental in getting you into treatment. How many times until he said adios?
I believe I had 14 treatments for meth.
And then he just said, what, we're done?
You know, it was kind of a mutual, I'm not going to treatment anymore. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and him not wanting that.
Okay.
And I divorced him because he was interfering with my using.
Okay. Boy, that's a definition of an addict, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Dump your marriage.
Yep, drugs are more important.
All right. So what year were you divorced? Or how old were you when you were divorced?
About, I don't know, about 31,
All right.
something like that.
And when were you diagnosed with cancer?
When I was 38 or 39.
And tell me how that happened.
Well, that was a true God thing, if you want to talk about blessings. I woke up one day and I had excruciating rib pain. They thought it was a broken rib or a blood clot. And so they put me in the hospital and did what's called a D-dimer, which will either show for a clot or a tumor. And because of my age, they assumed it was a clot.
Okay.
And so anyway, they did a CT of my chest. The doctor came in my room and said he saw a shadow and wanted me to go for a mammogram. And I argued about it, went down there because I could hardly even move, you know. And it was a rather large tumor.
In your breast?
Right.
Now, what were you on any drugs at that time?
No, I was clean at that time.
Okay.
And then the next morning when I woke up, they said it must have been a pleurisy. It wasn't a broken rib. They don't know what caused the pain, but it was gone. So I wasn't eligible for a mammogram for quite a while. So it was, I believe, a God thing.
Absolutely. Now, during this time, you had gotten married again?
Yep. I was married to my daughter's dad.
Dad. And, yeah, all right. 14 and 13, is that what you said?
14 and 11.
11, okay. So how many years did you suffer with cancer?
It was about a year and a half before we were all done with the chemo and the surgeries. And
during that time, you were clean?
No, by that time, you know, I was using the pills that they'd given me.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it started instantly with that.
What kind of home life did you grow up in? Was this just really anti-cultural and almost rebellious, or? I
don't know. I grew up in a really wonderful home. My parents are incredible people. My family life was good, but I have never. I told my mom I used to sit around the corner when she was on the phone and wait for her to say I was adopted, because I just couldn't. I just didn't feel like I fit in with that family or anybody. I felt like I was broken. And
siblings?
I have an older sister, very successful.
Okay.
Doesn't use.
Yeah, never did probably.
Right.
Yeah, it's strange. The accuser can weave his little way into our body until the point we don't feel acceptable. We don't feel lovable was the term I used.
Right.
I'm not lovable. And, you know, as a child, when you decide you're not lovable, that's tough. That's an adult decision in a child's mind.
Right.
You said you have seen more and more heroin cases.
Yep.
Come up.
Yep. Well, I think that because it's gotten to be more widespread and more people are using heroin, it doesn't seem like it's as big of a deal as it used to, where people would have such a bad connotation with it. And there are a lot more people that have gotten prescriptions and gotten addicted to prescription medication. And so it's a cheap way to follow up with that kind of an addiction.
How other ways can you put heroin in your body? Injection,
snorting it, eating it, smoking it.
So did you do all those?
I only injected. Why didn't you do the others? Because I'm an IV junkie.
And there's a difference.
There is a huge difference.
Tell me what that is.
It hits you instantly. It's something that takes away all of your issues and makes you not care about anything. And I think the reason that it's so prevalent right now is after some recent medical issues in Des Moines surrounding a doctor who was on trial.
Yes.
Right. That made people turn towards people like me to sell them illegal drugs because they could no longer get them through their physicians.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about amounts and pricing. How much would you ingest in a day?
Around $300 worth.
Holy crap.
That's a lot of money.
Now, was that because you ran out of money and you could have done $400 or $500 if you had that, or with $300 just that was all you needed?
I could have probably kept going. And then, I also bumped it up with other drugs. I didn't have a cap on what I would do. It was mine, yours, and more.
Alcohol?
Yeah, I would have probably. I mean, I have at some points in my life, but I just am not a fan of hangovers. But alcohol is a drug.
Right, but so you're not an alcoholic.
Oh, I could easily be.
Okay, but is there not a hangover from heroin?
There is, but once you realize that you're addicted to heroin, it's already a done deal. You will do whatever it takes to get that.
What'd you do? Anything?
Anything. I would steal if I had to. I sold drugs. I would do whatever it took. I never prostituted, but that's because I sold. I would have gone that route if I couldn't have sold.
What a wonderful story to be shared with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're only halfway through. Jodi Waddell is her name, 47 years old. She's a happy, wonderful mother of 2 young girls, Grace and Alex. And what a life story. And we'll continue that story when we come back. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you. Right here on The Truth, 99.3, powered by webcast1live.com. Brought
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Homs,
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do. What type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope.
22 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News at 3 o'clock, and then at 3:03, the Steve Deace. Back at Afternoon Drive in his hometown, right here on 99.3, The Truth. If you're just finding this radio station, no, your radio isn't acting weird. I'd like to tell you it was a Holy Spirit thing, but it wasn't. It was an electronic thing. Electronic thing. A week ago, last Saturday, this radio station moved up in power and began to service 8 times the number of listeners we were previously able to serve. And we've had reports all the way past Grinnell, Oskaloosa, Ottumwa, Adair, the Boondocks, all down the southern area and northern area that were really doing a good job covering all of central Iowa. But we really want to hear from you. If you're a new listener and you've just found us, drop us an email. Go to my Facebook page, Mac J. Michael McCoy. Just however you can find us. You know, Twitter. No, forget Twitter. I don't tweet. But Chris Roloff, we've got a Facebook page. We've got a website, Webcast One Live, WEB Webcast, ONE Live.com. Love to hear from you. Jodi Waddell is my guest, 47 years old, a little more than 4 months clean off of a heroin addiction that started 8 years ago.
Yes.
Is that right? And she had breast cancer surgery and was given Dilaudid as a painkiller. And when she could no longer get Dilaudid, she turned to the streets and got heroin. And you chose to be a junkie that, what'd you call it?
An IV junkie.
An IV junkie. Because the high is so much better.
That's how I viewed it, yes.
Okay. What could you do while high? I mean, they say meth, you can be awake for 4 days, you can clean the house, you can nobody knows you're on meth except maybe she had too many cups of coffee.
Right. Most people that met me would never have guessed it. Excuse me. I was pretty good at, getting things done, what they call a highly functional addict. But that was because I was tired of being put in treatment over and over by people. And tired of losing my kids.
Did you lose your kids sometimes?
I did. My parents took them several times. DHS has taken them.
Yeah. You have them back now?
I do.
Good. And I bet they're glad to have mommy back.
They are. They always referred to my oldest one remembers how it was when I was clean for those years. And so she always called it the good days.
The good days.
My youngest one couldn't remember. She was only 3 or so when I relapsed.
All right. So what was the end?
The end?
Yeah, what finally made you, after all these years, basically from age 25 to 46, so what is that? That's 20 years, 25 to 45. That's 21 years of drug use, abuse, pretty hardcore level. What was the bottom?
There were several bottoms. I got tired of people stealing my stuff and selling it back to me for drugs. I got tired of constantly trying to remember my story and what I was lying about at the moment, constantly trying to evade authorities. And I was good at it. I was good at being whatever I had to be to cover up what I was doing. And I was in treatment again, court ordered again. And, I just remember sitting on the end of my bed and thinking, it's not so much about, figuring out who you are, but figuring out who you don't want to be anymore. And that's who I didn't want to be anymore. I know that I'm here for one purpose with one God that doesn't want that for me.
When did you have that spiritual awakening? I mean, did you go to church as a kid?
I was forced to go to church as a kid, but I was an atheist.
Okay.
Right.
What made you an atheist?
I've just always been really into science. And at the time I thought that both couldn't exist.
Okay. All right. And so once you got free from home, then church was gone.
Church was gone once I was confirmed.
Okay.
You know, I actually got confirmed because I cheated and wrote all the answers on my legs and wore a dress.
Really?
Right. Because I didn't listen any of those days.
Right.
So.
And so who was God during all these using times?
God was something that I always thought people had misplaced hope in.
Okay.
You know, I thought that he was somebody. For instance, I had a pastor at the church where I grew up that would scream, "This is the day that the Lord has made, rejoice." And it just wasn't very
Rejoiceful.
inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when did that spiritual awakening come to you this time?
This time, you know, I spent a lot of time angry at God. I was angry at God for what I considered giving me cancer, for giving me addiction. I would turn to him with foxhole prayers, you know, God, get me out of this. I'll do whatever it takes. It's really hard, you know. I would have a needle in my arm and say, God, take this away from me. Well, he's not going to physically take that away from me unless I take the steps to make that happen.
And how it sounded like you got into a remorseful life in the end.
Yes, I'm very remorseful. I mean, my children, my oldest one had it. You know, she was done. She was tired of the treatments. My youngest one just was, I mean, just really struggling.
Yeah, and now you're going through separation and divorce.
Right.
Drugs are impacting that relationship also.
Very much so. He's still active.
What if he called you tomorrow and said, I'm done?
You know, it would take a while to see if that actually came to
It'd
fruition.
stick.
Right.
Yeah. Does he not think yours is going to stick?
Well, when I went to treatment, he called my mom and said, you know, she's this kind of a drug dealer and she's this and she's never going to stay clean. Which, you know, I'm sure he does think I'm going to relapse. But he's also, we were together during those, 8 years that I was clean. So he's seen that too.
Yeah. And was he clean during those years?
I think so.
You think so? Okay. So as we approach the end of the third segment and then we really get to what your life is like now, I kind of want to start that now. You were in treatment. Did you make any promises to God?
Not so much to God because I thought that God had it with my promises. I thought that everybody out there was sick of hearing, I'm sorry for what I did today. Or yesterday, I won't do it today, but I don't know about tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think that they were all tired of it. I just decided that I was going to spend every day from the moment I got out hitting meetings, trying to make it through till bedtime. Sometimes my bedtime is 9 o'clock because it's the best thing I can do.
Yeah.
Because it keeps me clean another day.
Yeah, go to bed. Yeah,
Right.
Right. I know the feeling.
Yes.
Yep. I go to bed 6:30, 7 o'clock some evenings because when I drank at night. It's the only time I drank. I didn't get up and drink. I didn't have a cocktail for lunch. I'd come home from work 4:30, 5 o'clock and start drinking. And now, 5 years sober, thank God. Actually, 1,886 days, but who's counting? Sometimes it's just easier for me, especially on Friday night.
Right.
Sometimes it's easier just to watch Kevin Cooney and see what's going on and then just go back to the room and shut the curtains. And I'd much rather be awake at 4 in the morning. I don't want to drink at 4 in the morning. I do want to drink at 4 in the afternoon.
Right.
So I can certainly relate to that. So when was the moment that you said, I'm done?
It was midway through treatment, and
You have a sobriety date? You have a date that you put on it?
the 1st of March, yeah.
1st of March, okay.
Yeah.
And so what made this 1st of March different than the last 23 times when you were in treatment and said, yeah, I'm done now. I'm done.
There was a girl at a meeting recently that said this, and it really stuck with me. God and I don't share the same watch. And I truly believe that there comes a time when, all those years of using had to have some benefit for me. They had to get me to the point where I threw up my arms and just, I give up.
At some point.
Right.
What did it do to you physically? Do you have remnants of heroin use in your body or in your mind? Or
Well, I'm covered in scars.
Okay, because you injected everywhere.
I injected everywhere. I remember one time, that I injected into my neck, and I remember from a biology point that there's a phrenic nerve there, and if you touch it, you paralyze your lungs. I didn't care. I didn't care if I lived or died as long as I had that next high.
Well, that next high was her last high. And now, after almost 5 months, she's clean. And she wants to tell her story so it can help you or someone you know. What's her life like now with a spiritual awakening and clean from heroin? We continue with the rest of the story with Jodi next.
A father who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can give these grandkids back, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We can help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope.
All right, 10 minutes for the top of the hour. Salem Radio Network News at 3 o'clock. And then at 3:03, the Steve Deace. Back on the radio, back live, back in your car during afternoon drive, and hopefully back between your ears. Man, he's on a roll. That SCOTUS decision last 2 Fridays ago has lit that boy's pants on fire. You got to listen to him. He's just better than ever. Steve Deace, live here on 99.3. I was going to have Chris Roloff on today. But he decided to take, what did he call it? A vacation, but he called it something like, they just decided today to take a vacation. Can you do that in your life? Just decide today you're going to, when you were working for the state?
No.
Can you?
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, I can't either. Ryan, you can't. But Chris, no, he just woke up this morning and said, I'm the station manager of this brand new great FM Christian station in Des Moines, and I'm taking today off.
Be nice.
I am being nice. I know he could kick me out of here. I'd be gone forever. I'd be drinking booze in the ditch. Who knows?
It would be nice.
So what's life been like the last little over 4 months for you?
It's been a relief. I mean, life still happens. And when I first got into recovery, I just didn't think some of that stuff would happen. But it still happens, and I don't know. I've spent so much of my life trying to fill a void that's unfillable by those kinds of things. By people, places, things, drugs, behaviors. And now I don't have to fill that anymore, and it's been awesome.
I call that the God hole.
Yes.
That God put it there. He created us, and he knows that he fits in there. It's the round peg in the round hole. Mm-hmm. But he also gives us the free will to try other things. And there are some people who don't ever try anything different. Bob, you never tried anything different, honestly. You've been a man of God all of your life. You didn't get into alcohol. You never got into drugs. You're not an angry man.
No, it's because I saw my family. My father was an alcoholic and his brothers. And so seeing that and seeing what effect it had on me, I decided I wasn't going to do that to myself or my family.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Mm-hmm. Good for you. I wasn't so lucky. Kim, you weren't so lucky. No. We all have our story. But you have finally found... Or can I say he found you?
I would say he found me.
Yeah. Did you surrender, quote unquote?
I give up. That fight is not achievable to win.
Okay.
Not as I am anyway in this body. I can't fight that fight and win. I've never understood normies, as they call them, normal people.
Yeah, I know.
I've never been able to feel a feeling without using over it.
I like that term.
Yeah.
Feeling of feeling without using over it.
Right.
And hear that without using over the feeling.
Right.
Not over as in on top, but just saying I can't deal with that feeling, so I'm going to use.
Yeah. And I thought that, if I just approached it with you have a problem with me using, therefore it's your problem. It's not my problem. And, my husband was saying, I know I play second to the drugs. And I'd say, I don't even know if you're second. I mean, I was really a cold individual when it came to that. I did whatever I had to do.
How has that spirit changed inside of you?
Now I'll do whatever I can to help anybody else as long as it doesn't jeopardize me. If somebody's still using, I'll do whatever I can to help them find some treatment center. I won't be around them because I'm still too early in my recovery.
Right.
I pick up people, take them to meetings a lot. I stay after I make coffee. I pick up cigarette butts at Celebrate Recovery. I do whatever I can to pay forward all that has been so freely given to me.
Yeah, and you go to Celebrate Recovery at Hope.
At Hope. And
are there other ones in town that you go to too, or just that
That's
one?
the only Celebrate I go to. I go to 2 meetings a day, but...
Now, when you were worshiping, I told the story in the beginning that the way Jodi and I have not even known each other hardly 24 hours. She sat in front of me or I sat behind her, I guess, at the 5 o'clock service at Hope on Saturday, a service that I never go to, but something kept telling me to go to church. And for those of you who don't understand that feeling, don't ask me to explain it. I can't explain the urging of the Holy Spirit. I just know that when I start to get my butt out of the chair and to go shut the TV off and go lay down and take a nap so I could be functional that evening for my wife and friends for a late night, almost overnight jammy party with fireworks. I know. I was home by 11:15, but it felt like an all-night jammy party, let me tell you. Something just kept telling me go to church. And I'd sit back down and say, I'm not going to go to church. I'm reading at the 9:15 service the next morning. I got to be there then. I don't want to go twice. Go to church. And I got to church and Perry was preaching. And I said, well, that's why, because I like hearing Perry's preaching. And then there was something about the way you were worshiping. It wasn't just an intangible or an invisible thing. You were worshiping yesterday.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not saying you were, dancing in the aisles and stuff, but you were not just sitting there listening to the sermon. You were worshiping.
Yes.
What's that feel like to you now compared to the atheist girl that grew up at Valley High?
It is so much easier. It is so much easier to know that I have a God of do-overs, that I have a God that isn't up there just to judge everything I've ever done. He's already forgiven me for the things that I've done. Now I have to remember that I have to pass that same forgiveness on to the people who have hurt me in my life. And
as you forgive, you will be forgiven.
Right.
I think there's, what's that called? Oh, the Lord's Prayer. Yeah.
Right.
Do unto others. No. What's that? What's the trespass line?
Lead me not into trespass.
Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Kind of saying to God, listen, don't do more for me than I do for anybody else.
Right.
My grace is wider, but I'm going to judge you by your grace.
Right.
And now you're a forgiving person.
Right. But I spent a lot of my time thinking that I didn't deserve to be forgiven for things.
Sure.
And
that comes from the accuser,
Right. I know a lot of stuff that comes from him.
Yeah. Yeah. Your identity is that you are loved by a God. You are greatly honored by his son, Jesus. The Holy Spirit is thrilled he can live within you. You are perfect in his eyes. There is no guilt. There is no shame. There is no condemnation.
Right.
You have finally rid yourself of this evil spirit called the accuser and allowed to be the person God created you to be.
That's true, but the accuser is still there, happy and healthy. He sits on my shoulder frequently.
Yeah, I always say he's sitting outside the meeting doing push-ups while I'm in here doing the show.
Yeah.
Well, Jodi, I appreciate you being on. I think I'll have you on again sometime if I can. This is fascinating. I'd like to learn more about it. If you have got someone who is addicted to drugs or alcohol, food in your family, call Powell. 263-2424. It's really easy. Tell them you were listening to the show. Tell them you were listening to Kim and Mac and Jody and Bob on the radio today. And you just have a question about this quote-unquote person I know. We don't care. We don't care. We do care about helping you. And we can help you. And we will help you. But you got to make that phone call. Okay? Deal? We'll do everything else if you just make the phone call. It's a deal. I promise. 263-2424, Powell, CDC. Okay, tonight, somebody over the weekend really made you mad. You're holding a resentment. It's eating away. Do me a favor, forgive them. Because as you forgive, you shall be forgiven. I'll see you in church.
Restoring hope.